Yes, graduates, welcome to Hard Talk Podcast with HTK. Fasten your seatbelts. Hey, graduates, wagwan. Look, there is a video that is going around on TikTok which shows CMR actually giving his viewpoint on what happened with his case, how it was handled, how the public has reacted towards him. Now, you know I don't play these people's things on my platform, so I'm going to do my best to break it down for you. It seems as if a conversation with his father has really left CMR in a reflective mode on how everything has impacted on him and his life and how other people view him. His father is obviously very disgruntled about the fact that, the situation, the case with his stepdaughter has caused their family name to be dragged through the mud. A reasonable thing to be concerned about, but you know what, Dad, I think you should be more concerned about whether or not this situation is true and whether or not your son is seeking help. But anyway, in the light of things, he is telling his audience that he feels that it's an unfair judgment. Reason for that is that he could not have caused this. It was done to him, is what he is implying. In other words, he can't control what people say, how people react to something that was done to him. In other words, out of his control. That is the impression he's giving the TikTok audience over yonder. He speaks about the fact that he has no forgiveness for transgressions. Those were his exact words. This is why he has no forgiveness for transgressions, because people, in other words, were showing him no forgiveness. So it's going to be returned. Or it's returned, period. So he has, in fact, become more heartless as a result of what he has gone through. He speaks about the fact that he has moments of anger that he has to deal with. He expressed an anger towards the police department and he implied that they know what they did. I think I know what that one is about, CMR. I think I know. And yes, I can understand that. He spoke about doubting what people think and feel towards him. The fact that people are not going to be genuine with their thoughts around the issue. They're not going to make it clear what their conclusions are about him as a man, as a father, but will draw an imaginary line with him. And he will know that this is the reason for this imaginary line. So just to put it in a perspective, for example, if him have a good friend and the good friend them have a daughter that's a teenager, he may notice that when he invites them over for a barbecue or for a meal, they will come without the child. Yeah, so they will come sans child because they don't want that teenage girl to be around him, because they have already in their mind put it that he is in fact guilty and they're wanting to keep their daughter safe. But they're not going to come out and say these words. I'm giving an example of how something like this can play out, and no doubt will. He went on to express the fact that he thought he had an unfair deal. Now, graduates, this is the part that kind of, made me a bit concerned about his mental health and what he might do, because the saying, pressure bust pipe. Yeah, man, pressure bust pipe, man. And it's never good when your true feelings are suppressed, and suppressed to the point where those feelings are eating you up on the inside. And my biggest concern, and this is why I have more or less backed off of this case, is the fact that this individual is in the household with the alleged victim who made the allegation against him. And if the allegations are true or not, there has got to be some resentment towards what he has been through as a result of the revelation to the authorities. It is inhuman to expect that everything will be perfectly okay, no matter what they portray on camera, because these people are very good at samifying the public and giving the impression that all is well when all is not. His exact words were, "I feel like my hands tied and I know how to untie it." So that is all about the fact that he knows the truth. This is the impression he's giving, right? He knows the truth. And he knows that he could set himself free from the condemnation he's receiving. But something is stopping him from doing so. He claimed that if he removed the handcuffs from his hands, it would cause more harm. Wow, a very deep thought indeed that can only come from real introspection and a build-up, kind of like pent-up emotions that are very negative indeed towards what is taking place. Why would it cause more harm for you to speak out if you are in fact innocent is the biggest question. Maybe his hands are tied by the system. Maybe this is about safeguarding the child from potential cyberbullying, emotional distress, etc. And putting her out there would be, equivocal to neglect of her emotions and therefore abusive towards her in a way that would be, from his own doing. So it is possible that he has been advised to keep quiet and to not speak out about the situation. Now, I am just analyzing what CMR has said and the emotions behind it. And I'm going to say this. I watched the video multiple times. And it's the first time I saw what looked like genuine emotions taking place, where CMR was not focused even on the audience. I don't even think he paid attention to any of the comments while he was doing this monologue. He was looking off into the distance. And you could tell it's almost as though he was communicating with his own conscience. And this came out on the live. Now, you all know me can't stand such man, because I just think that he's such an arrogant ordeal, very narcissistic, and I just don't trust him. However, I have to put my feelings aside for the purpose of this analysis, just to be as objective as I possibly can. And I can genuinely see here that what he's feeling is true to him. At first, he apologized and said that he can't really he doesn't quite know how to explain it. And then he went back on himself and said, actually, he knows how to explain it, but he just can't be blunt and straightforward, which implies that his deep desire is to be blunt and straightforward and to tell it like it is. You see, when people hold down your emotions, or a situation holds down your emotions, it has to come out in one way or another. One form or another, it has to manifest. It can't just stay there and you be okay, because it's something that is troubling you. So my question is, where are these emotions going when you are unable to actually speak your own truth? Where are these resentments going? Because it has to be directed at somebody or something within your environment. I have to be concerned because I'm thinking, is the child at potential risk of receiving the backlash from how he feels, or even such woman, although many may argue, including myself, that she might deserve it. But what we don't want to see is a situation where that pent-up emotion bursts into such a venomous state that it causes serious harm to anybody around him. Remember, this is a trained soldier. We've heard far too many stories, read too many headlines of families that have been just wiped out in what you would imagine was a release of such kinds of repressed emotions out of the blue. And the result is that said person who causes those consequences turn around and unalive themselves after they've done the dirty deeds. I'm not praying for this to happen at all. In fact, I pray and rebuke this situation. I pray against it and rebuke it, right? But it is not a far-fetched notion in this current world that we live in, especially in an environment where armed weapons and things like that are so easy to acquire. But what made me ultimately even more concerned was when he said this line: You ever feel like somebody stab you in your heart, but you can't stab them back? Now let us look at that scenario. If somebody causes you great pain, the natural instinct of most humans is to cause them pain back. Revenge and retribution is a very normal characteristic that many humans experience when they feel they have been unjustly harmed. Now, imagine going through something like that, not being able to lash out at the person who has caused you such pain, and then having to cohabit, live with, under the same roof, the person who may have caused it. Now, let us not get things twisted. He never said who it was. And while we, as the Purple Heart community, will have the child to the forefront of our thoughts and our concerns, and wondering, is it the child that he wishes he could lash out at? I wonder if we are missing another picture. Remember, HTK said she received a message. Now, I don't know if this message is accurate. It is an allegation. This person, I've never come across them before in my inbox. They messaged me. And yes, it was from a what looks like a fake profile. So, people on the internet, they're such a bunch of liars that it's hard to to distinguish the truth from the lies sometimes, especially when it's a fake page that's sending you stuff. But they claimed that such man and such woman were seen all around their environment where they live shortly after the arrest and the court hearing, the initial court hearing, and that the story that they were telling people, or at least he was telling people, was that the situation was set up by his wife out of vengeance. Now, vengeance for what is a question, but to think that, or to imagine that a wife would use her child as a pawn is crazy to me. To use a child to spin a web of lies in order to basically have revenge towards her husband is boy, is a sick thought. It no means say it impossible, people, but is a sick thought, right? And as I said, maybe we are thinking that he's pointing his thoughts and concerns towards the child who went on record with the allegations, but could it be the wife? Could it be the wife and we are not seeing something deeper? I wonder. He then went on in this clip to speak about the fact that you can't leave it to God or hope for God to basically execute vengeance on your behalf, because it only benefits you in the long run for them to also be great. It doesn't benefit you for harm to come to them equally or worse. So he's basically saying that he has put himself forward as the sacrifice, the sacrificial lamb, to go through what he's going through, to remain silent and to remain persecuted in the public eye, in order to protect the greatness of somebody else. Once again, I don't know if this is to do with the child or if it's to do with such woman. CMR, I'm going to address you directly. Confession is good for the soul. And if you continue to repress how you are feeling and to pretend as though all is well, it's going to go very badly for you. Yes, it is. It's also going to go very badly for your family. It's not going to be a good outcome at all. It isn't healthy, nor is it right to have a spirit of vengeance and yet feel as though you are shackled against acting it out. Because, as I said earlier, pressure bust pipe. And it's only a matter of time that this manifests in some kind of horrific way. I don't know why you are angry at the police department. They did what they did, maybe because they also feel as though their hands were tied and you were getting away with something that they felt you shouldn't have. That's between you and them. But I'm going to say this. The things that came out in this case does not point to the child being a liar. If you have critical information that is about making it clear to the public that you are in fact innocent and you can't share it, that is a hell of a predicament to be in. Because this taboo is going to be on you for the rest of your life. People are always going to look at you as this. Every time they see you, it will be in the back of their minds, if not at the forefront of their minds, that you have done this and got away with it, or that you have the potential to do this. I'm telling you about what people might think, not necessarily what is. But I'm saying to you that these things that you are expressing are quite volatile. It's not healthy, and it is clear that a volcano is going to no longer be dormant if you keep these feelings inside. You are laying blame at the feet of either the child or somebody in your household. Deflecting it on external agents isn't going to get rid of that feeling. So even if you lash out at the police, or you lash out at CPS, or you lash out at any of the agencies that were involved in this situation, including the school, because, you were so insistent on moving the kids and all of that, it's not going to take away the fact that an accusation was levied against you from within your very own household. This is going to eat away at you. And if you people do not get help to cope with that, we can only pray for the protection of anybody that's in your environment, especially that little girl. It is not going to be possible for us to put ourselves in your shoes, because the empathy for you is going to be minimal to non-existent in this case. The empathy for the child is always going to come first. This is how it is, because children are the ones that everybody protects as the future. But in addition to that, your scenario lends itself to much opportunity for exploitation. So people are always going to be observing your household with many question marks and many concerns about that little girl and how you people are handling this. It is an honest to goodness shame that this did not go to trial. Because based on how you are behaving, it would have been in your benefit for a trial to take place, for you to fight for your innocence through legal channels. That would have well and truly shut up the internet. And anything that would have been said about your child would have been a 9-day talk. But you see, you keep on doing things that provokes the condemnation even further, that gets the public riled up to the point where they are looking at you as predatory. You keep on focusing on the young lady. And it's weird to me. It's weird to me that despite the fact that this is a child who, less than 6 months ago, had made serious accusations against you, you are so comfortable being in her space, talking about what she looks like and all of that, filming her from head to toe, and it really is weird to me. Because surely any normal man out there, if they were falsely accused, we're going along the lines of your implications here, if they were falsely accused, they would have stayed away from the personal space of this girl. They would not want to be in the same space. Some wouldn't even want to be in the same roof. Yes, because of fear of what this child might do. Graduates, I had a thought the last time I had spoken about a live that they did, because I haven't watched the lives, or rather a video that they did. I haven't watched the videos on YouTube and caught up with anything. I have only been seeing clips on TikTok and listening to other channels that analyze it, because watching it, it gives me heartache. It gives me, too much anxiety. But I thought did cross my mind when I was last as invested in the case, um, as I'm now invested in Adriana's case. But the last time I thought about it, I said to myself, I wonder if these Bible studies are a consequence for Jay. I wonder if these Bible studies that she's been doing, if they are about mind control, manipulation, or are they about consequence? As in, mother believes she's lied, father believes she's lied, and therefore they're trying to get her to be aware of the consequences of the sins. Remember that she spent a considerable amount of time on the seven deadly sins. And I'm wondering if these things were chosen for her to be reflective on them, so that she does not speak out, or she does not speak her truth, or she does not create stories if that is what they believe has happened. All of these thoughts cross my mind. But fundamentally, I believe in the system and how it works in favor of the children most times. There are times when the system fails a child, and I genuinely believe the outcome of this may not necessarily have been the failing of the system, but may have been as a result of how the family cooperated with the interrogation and investigation proceedings. But that aside, if we were to have as much faith as we possibly could in the system, I believe the interrogations, the interviews, the forensics that would have been done would have been able to suffice and say whether or not this case is a possibility. The mere fact that charges were pressed, the mere fact that there was reasonable doubt in the argument, opens up a whole can of worms for this family. And it will not go away. You see how I've stepped away and I've been talking about other things. This is now just a topic amongst other topics. And I'm saying to you that the internet is still not being still. There are channels that are every day they're talking about it. You notice how none of them are not telling them to stop though. Me have to just throw in the part the phone enough one coming on over here, Anyway, the point I'm making is that it's not going away. And therefore, for as long as it keeps resurfacing, and every time these people go live or do their videos, there are other content creators going, what the hell was that? How are these people doing this and getting away with it? And questioning your character, and questioning your integrity, questioning your parenthood, questioning everything about you, and questioning your being around this child. And you are saying that you are sitting on truth. You are sitting on information that could stop this judgment, and you can't. It cannot lead to anything good. It cannot lead to anything good. Chrissy, you need to be careful. Be careful of how this man's mental health is being balanced in this situation. As much as I believe that you enable a lot of his behavior. Remember, says your best friend, you came on a TikTok live. I listened to it. And you were going on about how you guys are, how much you compliment each other, how much you are alike. Be very careful. In the meantime, Purple Heart community, we will continue to pray justice for all victims, and we will continue to cover those children in that household from any harm. We are sending nothing but positive vibrations towards those children, no matter what it is that their parents may be guilty of or accused of, that they continue to grow and flourish and heal from the situation. But this video, it was in fact very disturbing, and yeah, I felt inclined to speak on it. Be careful, okay, because this does not sound healthy, nor does it sound safe. This is your girl, Head Teacher K, and I will link the video in the description.